Hello, Feral friends. Welcome back to Feral. I'm your host, Savana, Montana, and today we have a super hot guest in the house. She is a mother of 3 boys, and she has a husband who stays at home. She is changing up the traditional role of what it's like to be a female, and she is owning the leadership role and the bringing home the bacon, if you will. So she's going to give us some behind the scenes of what it's like to be in a male-dominated role, and I'm really excited to hear what she has to say. So welcome to the show, Danielle Michel. How are you?
Thank you, Savana, Montana. I'm so excited to be here. I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
Doing well. Good. I'm excited for your episode. Did I botch your last name? Because I don't know how to say it.
No, Danielle Michel, 2 first names.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't screw that up because I feel like I was going to text you and ask you if I was saying it wrong.
You nailed it.
Nailed it. Okay, good. Good. I'm glad we got that out of the way. Where did you come from today? Because she literally just flew in and now she's on the show.
Came from Miami International Airport. Prior to that, I was in Charleston for one night.
Yeah. One night. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Are you on one of your like benders of travel?
Kind of, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in Atlanta from like Friday through Sunday, and then just home for one night, back here. So
Charleston is home.
Charleston is home right now. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
And how long have you been there?
For about 4 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Previously in New York, so big change, but for the better in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you like better, Charleston or New York?
Different answers. New York, definitely. What I miss about it, besides food, is proximity just to other people, opportunities, things like that. You can go any night of the week and find something going on, from networking events to people that are in that same realm of like being in the climb, where we're all just kind of chasing the dream type of thing, and everybody just gets it. Here in Charleston, it's different. It's a little bit of a slower pace of life, but it's really wholesome and sweet. And for my kids, I wanted them to grow up a little bit in a non-traditional sense, how it used to be, away from iPads, away from electronics and video games. So instead, we moved for different reasons, but it was more of a lifestyle choice than anything else. And they're able to run around the neighborhood, play with kids. They rarely even touch like electronics. My kids don't have phones or anything like that. My oldest is 10. And that's a rarity nowadays,
yeah.
Believe it or not. And all of his friends his age and younger have iPhones, and he doesn't even have an iPad or anything. So we try to raise them in that way where they're just able to go out and play and do sports and like crafts more than, again, being sucked in with electronics all the time. So
that's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Weather's great. There's palm trees. Boat life's good. And it's a 1-hour flight to New York and not even an hour to Miami. So what more can I ask for?
Yeah, that's so easy. I love that. I love that you're doing the no technology thing. I think about it. I don't have children yet, obviously, but I think about going that route just because we grew up that way. So you want your kids to be stand-up humans, right? But also, do they get picked on by other kids for not being able to text them or call them whenever they want?
Not yet, and it's because of the way that we're raising them. So like when we show them the value of not being on their phones, they'll be like, oh, like John Smith is always on his phone every time and they get annoyed with it. Like they'll be like, every time I'm with John Smith, he's playing video games or whatever it is. So they actually prefer to have the interaction. So I want my kids to look people in the eyes, shake their hands, have a conversation, and not put their head down when they talk to adults. So they do not feel like there's anything they're missing. If anything, I think they feel like they're advancing, and they don't beg me for those things. Yeah, they have a Amazon Fire, which is like a knockoff of an iPad. It's very limited, and they'll get that like once a week on like a Sunday or for like long road trips. Mm-hmm. And that's really it. And they look forward to it, and it keeps them busy when we give it to them in moderation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. No, I love that. I think it's a really, really good way to parent. And I love that your kids actually prefer it because they're used to it. They feel ignored by their friends because their friends are so glued to technology.
Right.
Who would have thunk it?
So when I was 16, like I said, I started like my first business, which actually, I'm a serial entrepreneur. We'll get through all that today. And I've done everything around the block and more. Mm-hmm. But I started off in the hair industry. And I got like my cosmetology license and did that super young. And I decided was supposed to go to Miami University, coincidentally, as we talk about this while we're here. And I stayed home and went to Hofstra because I wanted to like work full time. And I was like so concerned with making money. So when I did that, I put all my classes and combined them into 2 days a week, like Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then I worked like a dog, and I was making like $60,000-$70,000 a year at like 18 years old in college, like cash, you know?
Yeah.
So then I started investing in the stock market, whatever it is. But I remember everybody was like, well, why? Like all my college friends that were there were like, well, why are you doing this? Like, are you supporting like multiple families? Like, why are you working like this? You know? And I was like, clearly because I'm feral and I knew no other way. And I'm like, this is what I do. You know, like I didn't have to do that, but that's just what I felt compelled to do. And once I like understood the game and again, the service and giving back in that way, like, and then got money for the first time, I was like, wow, I can do this, but I want more and I want more and I want more.
Yeah.
So I got like addicted to the hustle, and then I went all in. So yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's cool that you picked that up at such a young age. When I was young, I was not thinking about making millions of dollars or starting a business or anything like that. So it's cool that you could set yourself aside and be like, no. And now I'm addicted. So I'm just going to keep going and going and going, no matter what anybody thinks. So, but that was embedded in you at a super young age because your parents had split up when you were very young.
Right.
So let's go back to the beginning on how you got that feral instinct in the beginning, you know,
Sure.
to start with.
Yeah. So my parents, when I was younger, got divorced when I was probably 10 years old. I grew up in a third generation entrepreneur household. So my grandfather came from Italy, and he moved here by himself and was an entrepreneur, like owned a butcher shop and other things, and continuously had the whole gypsy role with changing jobs all the time. And he worked on Wall Street for a little bit, jumped around. And then my dad, also entrepreneur, was a serial entrepreneur as well, all different types of things. So I grew up in the business world and just like not knowing anything else besides like when you see a good investment in a deal, you lean in and you find out what that is. So like we had like financial fluency within my household. So there was no like financial trauma in that aspect when it came to conversations, which is usually a hard thing for people to talk about because there's usually a lot of financial trauma.
Yeah,
I have it in a different way. You don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, I don't like talking. I mean, I'm better about it than I used to be, but definitely growing up, it's never a thing to speak about money, how I grew up. So
Right.
the yours is different.
And some people find it like kind of like disrespectful or rude to talk about it, but I didn't know it any other way. I grew up like on the soccer field being like, so what's in your 401k? Hey, you, what's in your IRA? I'm making 12%. That's my dad talking to everybody on the soccer field on the sideline. And I'm like, 12% of what? An annuity? You know? So I didn't know any other way. But my dad was like a hustler, right? Like he's a guy from Brooklyn, Italian, comes here, wheels deals, figures it out. He makes, he makes his break out of Brooklyn and is able to provide for the family, which was great. And my mom stayed home. And my parents never had a healthy relationship from as long as I can remember. They always slept in separate bedrooms. They fought a lot. And that's how I only knew of like a relationship growing up. So once we got to a point when I was 10 years old, every single birthday wish that I can ever remember, like blowing out candles, every single wish of mine was never for like a toy or for like extra recess or for like an iPad or a phone or any of these things that my kids wish for nowadays, right? But instead it was, my only wish was that my parents would stay together every time I blew out my birthday candles. As a kid, you think that's the answer to everything. And like that was going to mean like happiness. And I didn't understand better. So when my parents got divorced, like everything, the whole world went upside down. And like I went through a rebellious stage for sure. And I was like, nobody can tell me what to do, And my mom and our relationship got strained for a while. So there became like an animosity. She leaned in heavily to like Christ and God and became like a born again Christian and was always working on herself. And my dad just kind of went out and like he lost the houses and everything. And there was 10 years of court. And what I realized is watching my mom not ever have a job and watching when my dad left to like everything get ripped up, right? Like, and she didn't have any financial stability. And she couldn't get a job because she didn't have any college education and she hasn't worked in the workforce in 12 years or whatever it's been. I made a decision. I was like, I will never, ever be financially dependent on anybody, no matter what happens for my entire life as long as I live. And it's funny because I didn't like ever equate that exact moment to like a decision. But recently my mom brought it up to me. She's like, do you remember that day that you said that to me? And then it all came back to me because I do remember there was a shift and I was like, this is my path. And like, I will never rely on a person, a job, a place, a man, a fund, a stock, a retirement, none of that. Like, I need to figure out all of the things so that one thing cannot take me down. And since that day, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. And you're crushing it. That's amazing. Like, it seems like a sad story, and it is in a lot of ways, but you turned it into something beautiful.
Yeah.
Because you just flipped the script. You're like, I'm not going to accept this, and I'm going to do my own thing. So how did that, what is your relationship like with your mom now?
So honestly, our relationship is cordial. She's a really good grandmother. She lives in New York still, and, you know, supportive, but we're just two completely different people in every single way.
For sure.
I'm obsessed with business. Like, if you're going to be my friend, we have to talk about business, or like, we can't be friends. It just has to happen. Like, that's like my love language, like my children, my family, and my business, like, you know? Mm-hmm. And so for me, like, she's a supportive in that way, but we're just so different. So, you know, I've healed from everything that we've been through, because we definitely, that'd be a whole like day's worth of podcast on itself from the things that we've been through in our relationship. And there's been a lot of pain there that's happened over a long period of time, but I've made the decision to like move on and not hold anything like to that, and just be at peace, because I think peace equals tranquility, and like peace is freedom. And I just accept her for who she is, and she accepts me for who I am, and we have that respect for each other.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
That's great. It's great that you guys got to that place.
Right.
Because it's not always easy, but you're doing the right thing. So you mentioned that transparency is your love language. You're big on trust in business and in personal, but especially in business. You kind of run yourself as a leader that way. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So transparency truly is my love language. I think truth is more important than almost anything you could ever do, right? Authenticity, being who you truly are. Like, for me to be able to have a relationship with somebody, whether it's a friendship or even from an employee to employer, like, I need them to give, meaning like they have to provide some depth to me, and I have to also make sure there's truth there. If I feel that like truth is compromised, then it's very hard for me to give into you too. So there's like a time period of where like I give, let's see what you give, I give what you give. And then once I realize like someone's really truthful, then I'll start really being generous with my time, my conversations, whatever it is. And then I want to hear more about them, because I am an empathetic person, like, for sure. So like, I'm a Cancer, right? Like, July birthday, all the things. So I'm the type of person where like I feel with my whole heart with my friendships and my relationships, and I think more about that than anything else. Like, put them first before myself. So I want to make sure when it comes to like my circle and who I put in there, like, I'm not one to be friends with like 500 people. I'd rather have like a small, strong clique, and then everybody else can be like a really good, like, hi, small talk, whatever. But like, in order to be like, for me to give everything, I need to feel that level of like trust. And it's the same thing with my employees too. So like, from a business standpoint, if I feel that trust is compromised, that's going to be a big trigger for me, because if I can't trust you, then my clients can't trust you. And then like the entire operation doesn't work on the foundation, right? When there's a small crack in the windshield and you don't do anything to fix it, what happens?
Spider webs.
Right. Spider webs. Bigger and bigger and bigger until it cracks, right?
Yep.
And then it's dangerous. So I'm a firm believer in trust being like one of the core values in every aspect, personal and business, of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same boat, sister. You're preaching to the choir.
Preach, baby.
Yes. Do you think that you're pretty good at spotting out a fake?
Yeah, I feel like I have a pretty good emotional intelligence, but sometimes there's really good actors and actresses too. It's the ones that are quiet or you can't get a good read on, is what I've learned over like life. The ones that are more expressive, you can usually find out really quickly like who their true selves are. That there'll be more colors that will come out there. But the quiet ones and the ones that just kind of hold back a little bit and you're unsure of, that you can't fully get a read on, they don't give you everything, those are the ones that you have to be careful with, because you're just not sure, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
I think I have like a beacon. There's like a magnet attached to me that I'm like, I won't get I won't allow myself to get around people that make me feel a certain sort of way. Like
Right.
I don't know what it is about red flags. It's an empathy thing. That's why I asked you about it. Being an empath.
When's your birthday?
April 5th. I'm an Aries.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm huge. Like, you can ask Will. I wish he would take my advice more. Sorry to shout you out because I bitch at him all the time, but
I've never heard that before. A female wants the man to take her advice more. I've never heard that before.
No, that's totally
It's got to
new.
be a you thing.
It just
has
must
to be you.
Yeah.
There's no other choice.
No. But yeah, reading people and just knowing when they're good for you or when they're not. And I have a laundry list of, I really, really trust my instinct. So it's good that you do too, but you incorporate that in your business because you're going to go so much further because you can sniff it out sooner than most people. And I think it's a one-up with women. Not to like shit on guys and male business owners, but we instinctually have that more than men, I think.
Yeah, if I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
I'm friends with a lot of men and a lot of women, and the men more say like I'm missing that like chromosome, and they rely on me to then kind of like point my radar out and be like, no, that's a bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. 100%. Wives are like oracles. They're like, do this, don't do that, you know, but guys hit walls way more than women do when it comes with people relationships. Business, personal, doesn't matter. People with people, men seem to just hit walls way more than women that I've seen in my experience in life. Speaking of men, you are in a male-dominated role. So you deal with a lot of backlash and a lot of judgment being in the position that you're in. So recently, you were called a diva several times by behind-the-scenes people. And how to, like, tell us about the judgment and how you handled that, because everybody was judging you before you even went up on stage.
Yeah, so let me jump fast forward because where I'm at now in my career, like a lot has happened and transpired from like the really early stages from what we spoke about. So like since then, currently I own like tax firms, right? So I'm a CPA by trade, but I'm an entrepreneur by heart. And I've done all things outside of this industry and different types of businesses, but that's where I land right now. So my role itself is in a male dominated world. So quite frequently I'm like the only female partner, the only female speaker, like the only female like dominance authority in that space to begin with, as being a business owner and a CEO, et cetera, which is also less of a role for a woman as well. Now add the long blonde hair, eyelashes, makeup, and the heels that I love to wear. It's easy to judge someone from that aspect from an exterior standpoint. So this past weekend, I was at a very male-dominated like financial conference, and I was one of the speakers there. And what my assistant Alana told me, she's like, before you went on stage, there was about 2 or 3 guys that came up to me and was like, so you work for a diva? And she was like, what? And meanwhile, she's like, you were literally sitting there with a guy trying to put on your mic for like 10 minutes and didn't complain about one thing because he couldn't get it right. And he's like, am I bothering you? I'm like, no, just put it wherever. I'll just hold it. It doesn't matter. Like, do whatever you need to do. Like, and she's like, you're the furthest thing. And I'm like, Alana, I've been saying this, like, I've been dealing with this my entire life, because when you're too young, I was like a 20-something-year-old running a CFO job for like 700 employees in an engineering firm. And everybody's like, oh, who's she sleeping with to get to this position, right? Like, it couldn't have been my work ethic. It couldn't have been that I was the one staying up at night to learn engineering when I have no idea how to do any of that stuff but putting the extra work in. It couldn't have been the one that I'm going above and beyond to learn operations. It couldn't have been me, right? I would have had to do something to get to the point that I was at. It just couldn't have been that way, being like the youngest one. People were 3 times my age, you know, and I'm sitting there as like their essential go-to, their boss. And I remember I was like, I just can't wait till I get a 3 in front of my number. Like when I'm 30, people will respect me, like, because I'm like 20 and like going so hard. And I always felt like I was in this really like dominant role and like mindset where I'm like nothing's impossible. I'll figure it out. I'll grow it. I'll lead it. Like I'll just stay until no one else stays. I'll wake up earlier than anyone else does. I'll put all the reps in. And it's been my just like in my DNA from like day one. And it's unrelatable in essence to most of my girlfriends. So I'm just like sitting at dinner and when I go out with some girls and that don't want to talk about business, this is why I've changed my caliber. I'm like talking about shopping and shoes. And I'm like, I love all that stuff, but we got to add business into it. Like, you know what I mean? As well. So now it still happens, right? And I have a 3 in front of how old I am now, right? So I got that 3, but it still happens. And it will always happen. And I'm okay with that. It doesn't affect me. at all. And once I go on, people know me, like, then it's complimentary. And you just keep going and realize, like, they have their own issues. And I'll pray for you. And I'm sorry that you have to judge somebody like that, because that means you go around every single day, like, thinking something negative about someone you've never even heard speak. You don't know their story. They could be the most selfless, giving person in the world. And just because, you know, they have blue eyeshadow on, you're going to judge them. So it's unfortunate for you that you are going through that every day. So I'm sorry for you.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Because women don't think that way. I mean, some women do. We're not all the same. Like, there's assholes out there.
There's
It doesn't
jealous ones too,
matter
though. Yeah.
what gender you are.
Yeah.
Everybody's made differently. But
Yeah.
I feel like on the men aspect, obviously, we're always going to get that. But even on the female aspect, I'm sure you even get it tenfold. Because being in a leadership role, in a place of power for yourself, it can be intimidating. Some women take really well to that, and it's like a hype team. We're like stoked about it, and there's other women that separate themselves from the pack, and they gossip about it. It sucks, but it's a truth. Men and women do the same thing.
Right. And that's why you just got to find your people. And like, once you find your people that are like selfless, empathetically want to see you succeed, and you support them, and then you're just like each other's cheerleaders, and you're like, go girl, let's go, you're killing it, you know? And then you get that support crew, like how we are with each other. Like, like I would never be like, oh, Savannah's doing a podcast. Like, I'm so excited for you. This place looks sick. Your brand looks amazing. You're gorgeous. You're killing it. You're a leader. And like, I only want to see you succeed with my whole entire heart, you know?
Yeah.
And you have to find those people, because unfortunately, you have to weed through to find some of them. Every single person is not created equally in that essence. Everyone has experience and I'm understanding of why they're there, but it doesn't mean that has to be your people, you know?
Yeah, 1000%. And thank you for the compliments. I'm really happy to have you on the show. It's fun. It's cool to see what we're doing, because obviously we've stuck together since we met each other, and I see you on social media and everything that you're doing, and I learn stuff about Danielle all the time that I didn't know. I'm like, I had no idea that you used to do this, and you used to do this, and you used to do this. And it was like 2 days ago. I mean, I don't know when you guys are listening to this specific episode, but I had posted about having a billion different jobs. And once a job doesn't serve me anymore, or I feel like I've mastered it, or I'm just uninterested, I leave. And I, like you, I'm sure, have faced a lot of judgment around that, because, oh, she changes her mind all the time. But if I don't feel purposeful in something, why would I stick with it? Then I'm just wasting my time, and I'm essentially wasting the time of the persons whose dream I am building, because I don't want to be here anymore.
Right.
So I feel like it's a better decision to make at that point, but you get judged either way. If you stick at a job that you hate, or if you leave and go do something different, you can't win. Like, people are always going to have something to say.
But there's something so liberating about being able to walk away. Right? There's something so liberating about that process, because so many people fear doing that because they don't know their next steps. They don't have the next strategy lined up for their path, right? Like, most people that want to leave something don't have it all figured out, but you have to understand the difference between knowing when to push or pivot, right? And at some points things get hard and you shouldn't jump ship. Like, that's when you should grasp on and be like, okay, there's turbulence, like, but I'm not going down. Like, we're going to figure this out. Like, I'm going to hold and grip until I can't anymore. And we're going to push through this storm. If I go upside down all around, my hair goes crazy, I don't care. I'm not leaving. And you have to understand when to push. And then you also have to understand when, like, this plane is going down. There's no other choice besides this. And whether it's your emotions, whether it's taking down someone else, whether it's a decision and it's going down and you don't see another out, that's when you realize that I have to now pivot. And that's going to be a healthier decision for me. That's only going to pave the path for the next thing I have. Even if I don't have all of those things figured out yet, it's the most liberating feeling in the world when you can make a decision like that and just know this is the right decision. I don't know what it looks like next, but I know this is a decision I need to make, and it needs to happen now.
Yeah. Boom, mic drop. So true, so true. So what is the behind the scenes of working with so many men? You're kind of in the role of what traditionally in a marriage the man would kind of do, and you absorb that for yourself. So what motivates you to build and create this generational wealth for your family right now?
So I'll back up a sec. And even like back from before my husband and I met, like I remember when everybody was like looking for a man, and I was like, I'm looking for a man too. But I'm like, I was always thinking in my life, like I want someone that would be like a really good dad and a support role, like more than anything else. Like it wasn't more for me. It was never someone that like made the money. Like it was like the chemistry and like making sure it was a fit for the future, that I could see them being a good dad, right? Like I didn't know when I was 21, when we were dating, that like he was going to become the stay-at-home person at that time. I just knew like I didn't need anybody for that role. That's all I knew. Like I was confident I was going to figure that out, even though I didn't have it all figured out yet, but I knew I was going to figure it out. Like that was never even like a question in my head. So I went in very confident in that. So it opens the doors for me to like not look for a man that's like the provider and all of that. And instead, if he's making money too, cool. Like if, and maybe we both do it or whatever. I didn't think that much about it. I was young, you know? So now for me, like generational wealth and what I'm building for my family and the kingdom that I'm building for us personally is very important. And it's not about even a money thing. It's more of like a security thing, and it's more of a lessons learned thing. So I get quite frequently asked, how do you balance it all? And I always give the same answer, that I don't balance it all. One day I might be 90%, my kids need me, right? Like my son's going through something, or he's got a math test, or you know, he's dealing with something kind of emotional conflict. I need to be 100%, 90% with him that day. And my business has got to be at like 10, you know? The next day, I know everybody's good, they're supported, they're rocking and rolling. So I'm going to be 75, 80, 90, 100% in my business, because I know they got this, right? Like they don't need my energy to this point. I'm still there, you know, like I'm still there. I still love my family, but I have to consistently shift it. And then what I do is it's a lifestyle. So while we go to car drop off and I drive my kids in the morning, I'm telling them about the new business deal. I'm telling them how much money I closed on stage last week. I'm telling them about a new partnership that happened. And I'm asking them their input as we go along. I'm not just telling them, like, what do you think? Like, I just made a very big decision in my career, and I moved from something very big. And it was a big decision that came kind of as a feeling of abruptness, right? Like how we were talking about the pivot or a push. And it was a pivot for me. It was a big pivot, right? And I contemplated that more with my children than I did with any other adult. And children will tell you the truth. When we talk about authenticity, you want to know the truth, ask a child, they'll always tell you. And they give you feedback. And some of the feedback they gave me made my eyes open, like, wow, I never looked at it that way. But like, you're right, you know? From the kids' lens, they'll tell you so much more from like their bird's eye view than you even realize. So it's a lifestyle for us. So it's an experience. I build websites. My kids, I'm showing them how to do that. Every year we choose a different business for them. I teach them practical skills and knowledge so that the things that you're not learning in school, they'll be able to just, like how I felt confident, where I'm like, I'll figure it out. I'm independent. I just want them to be instilled, like no matter what life brings at them, no matter what God, no matter what storm, they're able to handle anything. So for me, generational wealth is more than money. But of course, I want things to be set up financially as we do this, because I love that game too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you would say your boys motivate you the most?
Yeah, like definitely, I don't want to let them down for sure. You know, like my husband's super supportive. Like whatever way I say I'm going to go, he's like, I'm in, you know? So I'm like, he's not hard to impress in that aspect. But like my kids actually will be more critical sometimes than he will, you know? And I'm like, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah. You're like, wait, what? Yeah. What did you say?
Like,
eat your cereal. But what was that? Yeah. Tell me again.
Tie
I don't want to make the...
Wait, one more time?
Yeah. Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm making the wrong decision.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that they can bring you back like that, or that you would actually take the advice of your children. I think that's so cool, because they're all you have 3 boys under 10.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know for the women and men that are listening, but I couldn't tell my mom shit at 10 years old. She'd be like, whatever, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, you know?
Right.
But you actually listen to them and consider what their opinions are, because you believe in them.
Correct.
And they believe in you. That's why they're going to give it to you straight.
Yeah.
You know, why would your kids steer you in the wrong direction? They don't even know that they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're just being honest.
The money thing for me is a game. Like, it's so fun. Like, I love investing. I love building out legacy planning. Like, I'm a strategist at heart when it comes to understanding how to like display money. Right now, I'm looking to buy different real estate to offset some of my taxes, do a cost seg, because I understand the game really well when it comes to like how to utilize wealth planning and money and strategy to try to optimize. I love investing in like stocks as well. I'm all over the place I invest in businesses. I also own a property management company. I have a book. Like I do all these things, right? I invest in other people's businesses. I love the game. Money is so fun for me, but it's a game, right? Like that's what it is to me. And like I like to win. So I'm going to win the game and I'm going to teach my kids how to win it so they can have an easier life. Like that's my plan with financials.
Yeah. Wow. So well said. I could learn so much from you. I don't know anything. I mean, I know a lot because I have a will. And so moving money around and investing and stuff like that.
That's more than most.
There's actually a lot to it, but it's cool that you're the front runner. And so you have all of that knowledge because you've taught yourself. So you know when to pivot and when to move and where to invest and when to pull out. Like that's super, super cool. So good
you
for
learn more in the streets than you do in the school building. I'll tell you that.
That's for sure. Yeah. Did you go to college?
I did. I do have my degree and everything, but I started with business and I ended up with accounting just because I was good at it. And I did get my CPA because it wasn't hard for me to do. The CPA test was hard for anyone that's listening, but now I'm planning on just like educating others so that I could like democratize like the 1%, like, so everyone said like the 1%, the wealthy, and like, how do these people have like these family offices and these really like well-off situations? And it's always like, who's doing Trump's taxes and who's doing like Elon Musk stuff, right? Like, and how do they plan and pay $0 in taxes? Now they understand because they have like the best strategists in the world, and it's not one person. They have a board of just people that are advising their people, right? Like they have an army like of people that are doing that. But there's a lot of things that us regular people can do that are not complicated, but it's often overlooked or misunderstood. And that's like one of my missions is trying to make this like financial relationship easier with people so that they can have a healthy relationship and feel more secure with making decisions and understand how to play the game, because it provides so much confidence. I mean, one of the reasons why people are depressed in their life is because they have a bad relationship with finances, right? Like, I hate to talk about suicide or anything like that, but it's true. Like one of the top reasons why people commit suicide, besides like obviously psychology and depression, things like that, a lot of it stems from more than 50% is from financial trauma, right? Like you see a lot of people that are older that do things that they can never take back because of that. They make really harsh decisions because of financial trauma. So it actually is like a movement that needs to happen so that we can build a more like democratized like relationship with finances so that people can have more confidence when it comes to the word financial freedom. It means something different for everybody else. Freedom to one person might be that they can pay their credit cards. To another person, it might be that you can make luxury decisions, meaning like, I don't even look at my credit card, I just spend, you know? But whatever it is, like it's different for everybody, right? And it weighs so much heavier than just numbers on people because it affects your entire like human state of a being, and it provides the decisions that you make every single day are impacted from that. So if you have bad finances, you're in a bad headspace, you're going to make bad decisions. You might eat worse, you might have a bad attitude, you might not be as optimistic, and you might be depressed or whatever it is. And that comes from trauma with finances, right? And a lot of people feel that overwhelmed, like they just can't get a hold of understanding how to do this from a psychology standpoint. You know, like they feel so far behind the 8 ball. And that's why I start with kids. Like I you know, my passion project is to try to spread the word between, I start from middle school to high schools to colleges, and I choose as many as I can a year, and I try to just really help them and inspire them because everybody's upbringing is different. And like we said earlier, like you don't talk about finances, right? Like, so that's something that you're learning and that you're interested in learning. And the more you learn, the better. Like you don't need to become an accountant, but like it's good to have that that confidence with making decisions because it impacts so much more than just numbers. And it starts from your childhood of how you were brought up. So that's why for me, I'm on a mission to, again, bring this to children so that they understand that like they may not be in a household where this is taught a certain way, or maybe it's taught the wrong way, or maybe my way is the wrong way, but there's another point of view. And the earlier you know this type of stuff, and that you don't have to choose one job, like you were a flight attendant and you were all these different things that you mentioned, and a go-go dancer, right?
Yeah, oh my God. My laundry list is so fucking embarrassing. Yeah. But no,
and
yeah,
I've
had like a billion jobs.
Bitch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Got a lot to say.
She's got a lot to say. She's got a long resume. She pull out the scroll.
Yeah, it's literally a scroll. It's like nowhere for more than 1 year.
We need a scroll of pictures. That would be epic.
Oh yeah, and then
Yeah.
you guys could also experience my weight loss journey.
I
and
love that.
Losing the weight, gaining the weight, losing the weight, getting super fit, being super thin. I like, oh my gosh, if you saw the pictures of what I looked like in all those jobs, that's a really good episode. We should do
It
that.
honestly, and talk about being real and feral, like that alone, even from a visual standpoint, is helpful. I mean, you showed me pictures and I'm like, you look beautiful in every state of your life, but like you're so tiny and little now, you would never think, girls probably are just like, she doesn't eat, but you're like, girl, you don't know what I had to do to get to this point. Like I've been through stuff too, and like body dysmorphia and things like that. And
it's
like,
so real.
Yeah.
It's like you can even look at a picture of yourself from 2 months ago and remember how you talked to yourself looking in a picture 60 days ago from right now, from the moment of the show, and look at yourself today and you're like, oh my God, body dysmorphia is a real thing.
Really
and I don't
is.
think that I'm a person who majorly suffers from it, but the way that I think that I look compared to how I probably actually look in real life is not the same thing,
Right.
It's a reflection. But about the financing stuff, yeah, it's interesting because it definitely does stem from being a child. I'm probably the most financially responsible person in my family. And that's a bold statement, but I am literally, every single bank account that I have has a dollar savings account, has a vacation savings account, has a regular, I have credit cards, like everything. I know where everything is at any single moment in time. And I have several bank accounts. And this is not to like shit on my family, but my closest people, I would say my mom and my brother, the second they get money, they spend it. But they've also accumulated a lot more money in their lifetime than I have. So I'm like, your relationship, your spending habits might not be as good as mine, but your relationship with money is better because you have seen a lot more of it than I have. But it stems from how you react to things when you're a child. And then also all the different stages of your life, how you act, how you respond, if you're optimistic, how you eat because of your scarcity mindset around money. If you have a scarcity mindset, I can prove that in photos of me because I can tell you when I was 22 and I was 170 pounds, I was broke and I was stressed out about money because I didn't have any. So no, I'm not eating healthy. I'm eating cheap because it's all I can afford. So my body reflects that. And then your body reflects it. The way you think about yourself reflects it. How you act towards others, how you think about yourself, what kind of jobs you choose for yourself. All of that stuff can come from something so simple as finances.
It's so true. Hey, listen, name a rap song that talks about being broke, overweight, and body dysmorphia. Ain't nobody talking about that.
No.
There's no hits based on
that.
Nobody's talking about that.
No.
It's all about bands will make them dance. That's what's going to make them dance. Not being broke, not having struggles, like not the fact that you're like wiping out a bank account because you don't know how to manage your finances. That's not sexy. Nobody wants to talk about that or sing about that.
No.
There's no famous songs that are built on being broke. I'll tell you that.
No. You're absolutely right. So I want to talk about your family dynamic. It's very untraditional. So you have 3 boys. We talked about that. Husband of 12 years. What is it like in your home life being the breadwinner? What is the dynamic between your husband and you? And also, how do you think your sons view it? Or it's normal to them, so they don't know anything different. But give us a little background of your family dynamic.
So because I'm on Savana, Montana's podcast, and it's all about being authentic and feral, I'll give you some more insight than I normally would talk about.
Please, I would love that. Oh my gosh,
juice.
yeah.
Here's the juice.
Here's
Okay.
the
Spill the
we're
tea.
spilling the tea.
Spill the tea.
We love to spill tea.
Not on our beautiful podcast set, though. Hell no. So in a masculine, like I get asked frequently, like you're in a masculine role, like you mentioned, from being a like business builder, right? Like being a founder, a CEO, and then a mom and stuff like that too. Sometimes can feel like that when you're like the decision maker, right? So that is something I definitely say is a challenge that like I feel like we battle sometimes because my husband is more like I'm like an A or A plus, not in a 100 way, like where I'm getting stickers and stars, but like where I'm super planned out, So I love schedules and planning and all those things, and he's like doesn't even have a to-do list. You know what I mean? So we're totally opposite in that. But if we were both my way, we would be like psychopaths and probably never get along. So I really appreciate that he keeps me humble and sound. But sometimes when I'm in like I call it my season. So there's like the pre-season, which means like you're gearing up to something. This is like when you're really like going all in on business, right? Like, and that means like you have your blinders on and like you're really saying no to more than you're saying yes to. Like like 80-20 at least, right? And the 20 that you're saying yes to either has to fulfill certain buckets, whether it's like your personal relationships, which could be friendships and family, to continue to feed that, or it would be something to improve like your self-help, right, in some way, or be business, right? And if it doesn't meet into my buckets when I'm in my season, I'm not doing it. So when I'm in my season, like that's where I think we struggle more, because it's harder for me to come back to like earth. And he'll sometimes say, like, when I'm like, go, 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 and I'm like coming back, I'm home for like 2 days or whatever, I'm with the kids, we're doing this, and then I'm leaving again for like a night, and then I'm coming back, and like I'm just in my head of just like thinking about the next thing. He'll be like, you're not even here right now. Like, where are you? And I'm like, when he says that to me, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm not. Like, I read a book to my children like 3 times, and they were like, what are you? I was reading the same thing. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, this happened to Mars? I didn't realize like Mars was this hot and Jupiter like gets this cold. I'm like, what? And they're like, you've read this book like 3 times in the past week to me. And I'm like, what? I've never read this book. And they're like, yeah, you just read this book 3 times to us. And I like, it totally like went in, because I didn't need to process it in my head. And it wasn't like me talking to my kids. So I'm like, it's a book, it's a kid's book, who cares? And in my head, I'm like planning my business and my next move and when I'm going to do this. And then I got to send out this email. And then I'm like, holy crap, I'm not present. Like, I am completely not present. So it's something that happens when you're in your season, for sure. And if anybody tells you differently and tells you that they're present at all times where you're building businesses and trying to get to the next level, they're absolutely not authentic or lying, and they will never be our people.
They will never be our people.
There will be like a high five, how are you? But you're not our people.
Yeah.
So it is something that I constantly have to shift and work towards, to make sure that like I'm present, so that I like to be feminine in my role, like in all the ways. Like, I want my husband to dominate. Like, I want him to make the decisions. And when I catch myself doing that, then I have to pull myself back and be like, you know what? You make the decisions. Like, I'm fine with, like, I make decisions everywhere else. This is your house. Like, you rule me here. I don't care. Like, your kingdom, I'm good. Like, I'm just living in it.
Yeah.
So it's just like a constant like reminder that has to happen sometimes when I'm in season specifically. And it's something that, it's like, listen, marriage 12 years, you're always working on it. So I love him so much and appreciate him. And I told him, like, I wouldn't be able to do any of these things with business, let alone our children, if it wasn't for him. He's an integral component. He's my confidant. He's the one I go to with any of my problems. Like, he's my psychologist at times and my supporter in so many ways. And he's completely like okay and happy with his role and doesn't want it any other way.
Oh, that's amazing. It's such a different dynamic, but it's so cool that you have that. Because I feel there's so many women out there that do have a similar role to you, but I haven't met any of them. So they're going to really resonate with your story because they're living that same dynamic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And you don't like the word balance. Balance is not in your vocabulary,
No.
but you do resonate with.
I think it's unachievable.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Well, it's unrealistic, and I think
Yeah.
everybody's balance is different. Like, who gives a shit if your scale is tipped? If it fucking works for you, that's your balance.
Right.
That's your scale. So it's not balance is perfect. Yeah. Okay.
If you had a perfect balance on a scale, it would be 0. That's the definition of a perfect. That means you're going nowhere real fast.
And it
There's no
sounds
such
boring.
thing as balance.
Yeah.
Sounds boring.
Sounds boring.
Sounds boring
I'm not
AF.
in.
I'm not
Yes.
in. I'm out.
I'm out. We're not
I'm so
interested. So what is your harmony with your husband and your kids?
Yeah, so similar like what I was mentioning earlier about like integrating them as an integral component in my life, so that they are a decision maker in the things that I'm doing on a regular basis without even like intentionally having a role or a title. So it's not like my husband is like the CEO, COO or the business development person, but essentially because of that confidence, he is. And I bring them to a lot of the events, right? Like, so they'll come if I'm doing events and I can pull it off where they'll make it. I bring them. I'll bring like one of my kids in. They'll all get turned, so it's not like all 3, and I can actually like pay attention. But sometimes I bring all 3, depending if I'm not speaking or something like that. Then I'll bring all 3. You know, so I love the family unit, the dynamic, the foundation, and it's something that again is an integration of our lifestyle. So I never try to do things separate from them. So yeah, I'm here today. I'm physically separate from them, but I'm not, because it's a decision that we all make together. So like when I leave, I'm like, mommy's going away again. You guys cool with that? Here's why I'm going. And I tell them why I'm going. Like, this is the opportunities that I have here. Here's the meetings. And I'm like, what do you think? They're like, go. You need to go. They're like, just bring me back candy or something. You know, like,
yeah.
They're so supportive in every way. And my husband gets it too. He's like, you got to go. Like, you got to go do what you got to do. And he'll text me when I'm gone all the time and be like, I appreciate everything you do for our family. Like, you know, like, you're such a good role model for our children. He'll write like nice stuff to me when I'm gone, which makes me feel closer to them. But all my trips are super quick. So,
yeah,
you know.
Well, shout out to him. You sound like a fabulous husband. We all are adoring you from afar. So you're currently in a phase, in part of all of this, that you want to deepen your relationship with God. So give us a little insight on what that looks like for you. Is that kind of like your safe place, like your peace from your busy work schedule, because it is insane? Do you lean on God for that, or what specifically are you trying to deepen with your relationship with him?
Right. So I grew up in a super like Catholic household. Again, like my parents got divorced, and like we would go to the Catholic church where like the priest, you know, is at the front, and it's very traditional. So my relationship with church was never like excitement or positivity. It was just kind of like, ugh, I have to go to this. But I always believed in God. And I went and did communion and confirmation because that's what I had to do with religion. And I followed suit. But that for me never was like a deepening of my relationship, right? So when I got older, when my parents got divorced, my mom had a really deep relationship with God. So does my dad. And my mom went to become a born again Christian, which opened up the doors to a different type of church, and which seemed like something I was more compelled towards. But when her and I having a strained relationship at that time, I associated anything with her at that time as something I didn't want to do. So I just kind of like stood my own ground, but I was always like curious to go deeper and like always kind of like envious of others that had a better relationship. So when I moved to Charleston, South Carolina, out of New York, it is a lot more like wholesome with religion and things like that, and very like church based in the area. So it's very common. And we have those type of churches, like Seacoast Church is one of the churches we go to, and it's like one of those big churches where they make the messages really relatable to everyday people. But what I would see is like just speaking to people in the industry, and like just even before even getting to church, like some of the smartest people in the world would say like, I did this because it's God's plan. And I'm like, whoa, like you are like the most successful, smartest person I've ever listened to or read a biography for. And like you made some of these decisions because of God's plan. And it's rare you hear that in business, but the ones that admit it, I was so compelled to learning more. Like, well, this guy has to know everything. So how can you like ever feel like this is truly God's plan? And that's where I felt like I didn't have like that deep of a relationship where I could be like this is happening because Jesus is putting this in my life, right? Like, but I was envious of like, how do I get to that point? Like, how do I feel like it's God's plan? Like, is it not God's plan? Is it me? Is it luck? Like, what is it? So this year in 2025, actually, I made a like commitment to go further than I ever have before, where I wanted to like experiment with going deeper and deeper with God. So we go to church every Sunday now, right? Like, and we've been doing that for a few years. And again, believe in God, we've converted to Christianity at this point, and I'm a supporter of all religions, for the record, and I believe that everybody has like good reason and intent with what they believe in. But this is the route that we're taking, right? And I started reading the Bible at night, every night, and I've been doing that for over a year now. And just deepening my relationship, because it takes practice. You're not going to learn a language, right? Like if you just practice it once a week or even once a month, you have to actually put your all into it. You have to listen to movies, you have to listen to podcasts, you have to have conversations. And that's where I started going with God. And earlier this year, when I made a commitment, like I want to see how deep I can go, like intimacy with God. Like I want to go further than I've ever felt before, because I was envious of those who had that relationship, that they knew that they could just give it all to God. And I'm not in a struggle phase, and I'm not looking for it for a selfish reason. I just am envious and curious. So it's wild, because listen to this. So
more tea, God tea.
Yeah, God tea. We just like spray the holy water.
Yeah, we're just splashing it around.
This isn't the tea. This is spray the holy water. Spray the holy water. So here goes the holy water talk. So I did this prayer, and like I created it like from scratch, right? And I'm like, I made this prayer earlier in the year, and I did this whole thing where I have a infrared sauna in my home, and like Sunday nights I do like a sacred night or whatever. I put the kids to bed and try to go to bed early and like do my practice and ritual. So it was like, let me do it on one of my nights, and I'm like ready for it. So I did this prayer where like I asked God, like with my whole heart open, like crying for no reason, like just because I wanted it, not about even someone being sick or anything. I just wanted the relationship. And then asking for intimacy. The next day I wake up and I get a text message, and it's someone that I've been wanting to connect with that I had no connections with, like that I was also envious of a relationship with for like a business reason, and was like, hey, do you want me to introduce you to so-and-so? I think you'd be a fit. I'm like, what? This is someone I've been trying to get in touch with, like and I've been channeling and talking about for so long. So that happened. So that's not the holy water tea though. So
there's more.
That's just like the room temperature. So here comes the hot tea. So I have a driver, right? And that sounds bougie, but he's amazing. And he
bouge it up. I want a driver.
It's efficiency.
Please, I don't like driving
I have an apartment
at all.
in Jax. I go back and forth every other week. I'm like traveling. So for business, I'm building our headquarters in Florida. So I go back.
Yay.
That's been happening for a year and a half. So he drives me back and forth. So we get in the car, and I think one time he mentioned something to me about God, and that was it. We've driven together like so many times by now, and really great guy. And we're driving, and we're on the way home, and I'm saying nothing. Like I'm just AirPods in, dark car, like typing away like a mad woman, just like really in my zone. And we probably have like an hour and a half left on the ride. And he like looks up at me and goes, Miss Danielle, can I bother you for a few minutes? And I took out my AirPods and I was like, sure. He goes, there's something that I feel really strongly that I need to speak with you about. There's a message that I need to send to you. And I'm like, oh no, he's going to tell me he's in love with me.
Oh my God.
Like, here we go. I thought he was so
damn
great.
it.
Like now I'm like, I thought he was great. I'm like, now he's going to be in love with me or something. Why does this always have to happen with guys? You can't just be friends with them or like be nice. He's going to be in love with me,
Can't
right?
just be my damn driver. Shoot.
Yeah, I'm like, I have an hour left on this ride. What's it going to be? And then he goes, and I've never had this conversation. Nobody knew I did this, not even my husband, with like reaching out to God, right? And he looks at me like in the rearview mirror, and he's like, God has a message for you. And I was like, what? And he's like,
sugar bumps everywhere.
Yeah. And he goes, God wants me to let you know he wants to have an intimate relationship with you too. And I was like, I could cry right now because it was
Oh my God, I could cry right now.
insane. I was like, what? And he's like, and then he went into detail. He's like, God hears you. He goes, he knows you're struggling for this relationship you want with him. He goes, it's not the universe. It's not luck. It's him. He's like, you're under God's plan. He goes, Proverb 31. He pulls this piece of like paper out, and he's got this whole thing on Proverb 31. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Proverb 31, but it's about being like that dominant woman in the relationship, the one that can sew and like feed her children because she's always got a business. She's the woman that's always like loyal and faithful and wholesome, but it's the one that's independent and like also like cherishes her husband and the family. He's like, you're a Proverb 31 woman. And he had this whole thing for me on Proverb 31. He goes, God wants a relationship with you too. And I was like, oh my God. Can you even?
No.
Like, we never had a conversation with him ever about God, about this, not even anybody. It was literally in my sauna, and that's it. It was the second time I reached out to God for an intimate relationship, and it was the next day this happened.
I can't like, oh my gosh, that's insane. It's so weird how God will speak to you through other human beings.
Right.
And it happens in weird places. A conversation like that happened to me at the gym. And a guy wanted to share a machine with me, and I was like, no, I'm almost done. Long story short, get into like a full-blown conversation. And he was like, God's telling all of this to you through me. I don't even know who you are. And the things that he was saying were next level. Next level. And almost like warnings, like, this is what you should do. I know that this is hard, but know this, and this. And it was...
Did you take any of it into like relating it to pieces of your life and actually like make decisions based off of...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the first time God ever spoke to me, this is super feral. I can't even believe I'm going to say this on the show because it's not beautiful, but it is at the same time. I was crying in bed. I was crying myself to sleep. And he basically just told me exactly what I was afraid of, but I was almost at peace in that same exact moment. And I was so upset and hysterical. But to hear his voice, like to have someone come into
Holy
your head,
Spirit,
it's
yeah.
literally the Holy Spirit come into your head and communicate with you. It almost instantly put me at ease. That's when I knew my whole relationship with God had changed. And I had started, my fiance and his family are Catholic. I don't know what you call me. I have a relationship with God. I don't
You
have
don't
a
have to be
religion.
a title, just like you don't need to keep a job.
That's right, baby.
You are who you are, and that's it.
We are who we are. So she had given me a book called 33 Days of Eucharist. And so I read that book every single day. And because of reading that book, I have a conversation with God every morning. I do my affirmations. I talk to
I love that.
everybody. And I just have a conversation with him. That's how I start every day. So, and then I journal right after. So, and then I read, no, that's a lie. I journal first. Then I do my affirmations. I have a conversation with him. And I read what I wrote in my journal to him.
That's beautiful.
So, thank you. Yeah, it's game changer. If anybody wants to take that from me, please do. Your life will change, I promise you. No matter what you believe in, just start talking, because there's people out there, okay?
Yeah.
So yeah, then the book, that's when everything changed. So now I want to run home and I want to go like crawl under my bed and be like, God, I want a more intimate relationship with you. Please.
Oh my gosh, I did
That's
it again the other day
amazing.
too. I swear, I'm like so many things like the pivot that I just made. Like I mentioned the big pivot. Like I made a huge pivot, and it was crazy because like I usually never make like abrupt decisions.
Yeah.
Like I know when it's time, but I think things out well before I make big decisions, right? Like I don't just say like tomorrow I'm done. Like I have to like figure it out, because I'm the type of person like when I'm done, I'm done. I don't go back to exes. I don't go back to old friends. Like if I'm done with you, I'm done. So like when I made this choice recently, and I've done this before, but like to make the pivot, right? Like it was, when I look back now, I'm like, how the heck did I make that decision so quick? Like, how did I make that decision so quick? And it's God, 100% hands down, because all of a sudden the same exact things that I was okay with, all of a sudden I wasn't, you know? And it was brought to like the front of the light. And I was like, this cannot happen. And this is not for me. And since I made that decision, so many other people have too. And I know it's the right decision to make with my whole entire heart. And it's never been more liberating.
Ugh. I can't with the story. I'm still hooked on. That's amazing. Well, it's amazing too that I keep saying the word amazing. Can I get a new word in my vocabulary besides amazing? There's other fabulous words. Okay.
Fabulous is a great one.
Fabulous is a great one. We'll use that.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Honey.
Fabulous, wonderful, all the things. But you used it and you made fast choices, you know, like you kept it moving and you took from it. Some things that you have a conversation with God about, you're like, holy shit, this is big,
right?
You know, and you take those baby steps. Other ones, he makes it so much easier on you. You're
Correct.
just like, and this is one thing that I'll say about the God thing. I ask him to point me in the direction that he wants me to go every day. I don't take the reins on where I want to go. Where am I supposed to go to fulfill my purpose on this earth? Because I am a person of service, and I want to be, and I always have been. Once I realize that, now I know that my path is in his hands. It's over. Like, you can't mess it up. It doesn't matter what you do and the decisions that you make.
Right.
You can't mess it up. There is a plan. You just have to keep moving.
So good.
So that's kind of, if anybody also wants to steal that, when you start just having the faith and putting things in his hands, he's going to point you into the right direction. And you can't take a wrong turn because he already has it figured out.
Beautiful,
and it's the most amazing feeling in the world to know that somebody fully has your back. Just you as an individual. Eliminate everybody else in the world, and he's got you. So, and I just found my relationship with God at 28. So I have not had a relationship with him for a very long time, but your life will change. So if you're interested, find him, because he'll come and find you too. And it's fabulous. I got way too excited about God. Thank you for sharing that though. Seriously, I know that it's kind of it's an uncomfortable conversation for some people, and even some listeners who don't have that intimacy with him yet, or maybe just choose not to, and that's their personal choice. But thank you for sharing and opening up about it, because it's super impactful, and it creates a lot of hope that we don't even know some people need.
Yes, of course.
You have dealt with a lot of suppression in your life. Some of it just regular world things. Some of it you may have brought onto yourself. How did you overcome your suppression and turn it into what makes you so resilient today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think a lot of people out there are battling with that feeling of suppression, and it could be such a broad term for so many people. Suppression could be like suppressing your confidence or suppressing your true state of feelings, or it could be suppressing like your job, right? Like if you want to really be an entrepreneur, that's one of the biggest things that I felt from a suppression standpoint. Or even like what we were just speaking about, your relationship with God, suppressing it because you just don't have the time to focus in on it or whatever, you're not making the time to focus on it. So suppression can be a really, really challenging thing when it comes to so many different categories. Now, for me, I felt suppression mostly in my earlier ages because I always felt like I wanted to do more. I always felt like I didn't fit in. Like I had these big dreams, but it sounded like too much, and unrelatable or whatever it was. And I always felt like my wings were clipped and I wasn't able to spread my wings and fly. So I started a job and then I worked for myself, and then I did both at first because you don't have the confidence to fully go out on your own. So I had like a 9-to-5 when I first started, and then build a business on the side, 2 businesses on the side, right? But I always felt suppression. Like I just want to do my own thing. Like I want to be free. I don't want everyone to tell me what to do. I want to be able to just build my own path, pave my own way, and do what I want. And I was able to get that by developing my own family, moving to my own place, and creating businesses that eventually became successful, that I was able to not rely on anybody else, and finally felt like I spread my wings when I got out of like the 9-to-5, right? And I was able to figure out how to establish my own income that I was making at a regular business, from a business standpoint now, from a salary standpoint, right? Like, so if I was making $50,000 a year, I could just get a client for $50,000. I'm like, oh, this isn't that hard, So for me, once I realized like, okay, I got this, I figured it out. For me, that was like a liberating moment of like, okay, I feel not suppressed anymore. I feel free. I feel like peace with this. Now, I thought I had it all figured out, and I was past that stage. So I wrote a book called The Suppressed to Thriving Entrepreneur, and it's geared to help people that are like getting their feet off the ground, right? Like that are getting started, how to build a business. It goes through my early stages of like the things that I needed to do to get to that point, and steps for them to be able to actually break free and get through to that experience of not being suppressed anymore, to thriving, right? The opposite of suppressed to me is thriving. You're thriving now. Thriving in relationships, thriving in business, thriving in love, thriving in God, whatever it is, you're thriving. But easier said than done. And I thought I had it figured out. And once you figure it out, you're just free. But then when I realized now in my like mid to later 30s, I found myself in a situation with partnerships that I was in that was supposed to be this big business and like really, really major collaboration and something that looked really shiny on the outside. And I realized that I felt suppressed again because I had partners, and there were decisions that even though I'm a CEO or a founder of Part, I'm not the biggest fish there, which is fine. And I was okay with suppressing that, right? Like it's not a title thing or any of that, because these other people have done so much more than me, or they can have experience that I don't have, right? So I'm going to take a step back and also just give them the floor. But I found myself in the same exact feeling that I felt when I was younger, when I was in a 9-to-5 job before I was able to get out, like working in an office every day, when I wanted to get the heck out of there, watching the clock, thinking about my business, building that on the side for every lunch break and before and after, right? I felt that same feeling where I felt like trapped in a jail cell in an office as I did when I owned a business as a partner in a different scenario. And once I realized that wasn't one of the things that I came to a realization, like, holy crap, this is happening again. But I own a business and I can support our family, and there's not a financial problem, and everything seems fine. And my relationship, I'm blessed and thankful for, and like we have good health right now, thank God, And I felt that same feeling where I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel trapped again. Like I have this fire burning inside of me and I feel trapped. I'm in a cage again. I'm in a cage. I can't make decisions the way that I want to. Things from an ethics standpoint are just different than what I would run them. And, there's just things that are being compromised that I wouldn't do things this way, right? And I have a choice where I can either settle and ride the ship and hope that it becomes this big thing, but then I'm suppressing myself doing that, right? Because I'm not being true to myself, right? And that's one of my biggest core values, is being transparent, right? So while I'm in this motion, I'm now starting to suppress myself. And I know it, but it's like in the back of my head because there's so many shiny things and fun things going on. I'm like, no, it's great, it's fine. And then I realize, hang on a second, what's going on here? I'm not doing what I said I was going to do. I promised myself I would never let myself in a situation where I feel suppressed again, not in a relationship, not in a business situation, not in any scenario ever. I will never feel like that again. I need to be free from that feeling. And I was in that same exact feeling again. And in my later 30s now, I had to make a big decision to change that. And that was that abrupt pivot that I think God put into place for me all of a sudden, where I woke up. And I didn't realize that first. I didn't realize I was suppressed first. I realized it after I made the decision. And that was one of the reasons why I made that pivot, because of my plan with God. And then also that feeling, those two things being so impactful for me, that I knew that I wasn't okay with settling. And walking was something that was the best feeling I've ever experienced in my life, because I was like, if I was 20 years old and I was in this scenario and everything else was in front of me, like shiny cars, shiny this, shiny that, I would have probably just rode it a little bit longer, and been like, this, I don't see it. Like, it's fine, but I know it's not deep down. Like we said earlier, we both have a higher emotional intelligence. So there's always that radar up of what feels good, what doesn't feel good. We do things based off of intuition, not always numbers. It's not always budgets. It's not always whatever it is. It's this feels like the right thing to do today. This feels like the right amount of money to spend today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't hire me as your local CPA, please. But that's how I felt with the feeling of suppression, right? So if I was younger, I wouldn't have had that confidence. I wouldn't have been secure enough to make a big decision when everything felt so good at the same time. And there's money and there's this and so many employees and all the things look great, right? But something was wrong. And again, I didn't cart before the horse, horse before the cart in this scenario. God was the horse and then the cart came second, when I realized these things don't align with me. I'm not actually happy. I didn't know. I thought I was so happy. Everyone asked me, are you happy? I'm like, I'm so happy. I love this. And I'm like, holy crap, I didn't love this. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I didn't actually love this. I thought I loved this. I thought I loved the idea of this, but I didn't love this. This wasn't what I loved.
Well, and what's behind the curtain doesn't align with you at all. It's smoke and mirrors. It looks really, really pretty on the outside, and people are like, oh, are you happy? You're like, yeah, I'm super happy. But
you
deep
think
down,
you are.
yeah, deep down, you're like, I'm miserable. Yeah. You're like, holy, yeah, crap, you were drinking the Kool-Aid.
You convince yourself. You're like, what do you mean? I look in the mirror, I'm like, I'm happy.
You're like, yeah. Yes, I'm so happy.
Yeah. I'll have to watch the video for that face. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Motivation to go watch on YouTube.
Yeah, you can watch on YouTube. I mean, we're on all platforms, but YouTube is where most people
Visual.
watch, I think. Yeah. 80% of people watch podcasts, only 20% of people listen to them. I'm a part of the 20%. Even after starting a show, I didn't watch podcasts. Now I review my own, obviously, because I have to final proof everything in the edits, but fun fact that has nothing to do with this conversation.
No, I'm a both. I love YouTube. It's my favorite platform.
Do you?
I love long form, everything. I don't necessarily sit there and physically watch the whole thing, but I'll play from YouTube a lot of stuff. But I also am in the Apple podcast as well. Mixed.
Yeah. That's where I stream everything personally. When I'm working out, I stream everything from Apple Podcasts. I didn't even actually see some of my favorite shows until I had to start reviewing my own edits. Oh, this is what your studio looks like. I didn't even know that. Or on social media.
Yeah.
Instagram Reels, TikToks, stuff like that. Then I saw people's studios. Anyways, you mentioned not doing everything with your whole heart. So you kind of just touched on it there, but I just want to elaborate for anybody who second guesses themselves or doesn't follow their gut. I'm a big intuition person. So what is your thought process behind that? If you're not doing anything, if you're not doing it with your whole heart. For me, if it's not a hell no, it's a hell yes. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. That's how I live my life. We're very similar in that way.
Yeah, I agree with you from my personal answer, but I do also know, and I know you know this too, but everybody has a different relationship with intuition, and they have a different like spidey sense when it comes to how they feel, like how accurate they are from an emotional intelligence standpoint. So I think number one, having self-awareness is important of like if your intuition is right or wrong sometimes, or you're just kind of like not sure because you don't have that deep relationship like most men.
Cough, cough. We're shouting you out today.
So just kidding. I love men too. But seriously, like everybody has a different relationship, right? So you have to understand that first of like where you would scale yourself from like a 1 to 10. Like our relationship, right, with intuition is pretty dang high. Like where I think we're both like close to a 10, right? Mm-hmm. We're like, hell no, hell yes, like you said. But again, it depends on the relationship and the emotional intelligence, but you should have self-awareness to understand where you align with the intuition, because I am an intuition person. So I base things off of intuition and data. Those two together are like the perfect scenario. Like they're like my chocolate and vanilla swirl, like soft serve all day. Yes. Like, so I need those two things to make a really strong decision. Like, but intuition is definitely a big part of like how I hire people based off of character versus experience. Like I'd prefer to have somebody based off of intuition and character than having all of the things figured out in the experience in the job, because when they, again, like their work can fade, but their character won't. So character stays strong and always wins the race, in my opinion. So I'm always voting for character in every aspect of my life.
Yeah. Well said. I agree with character. That's something that never goes away. You can be completely unknowledgeable in something that I'm about to hire you for, and the guy from Harvard can also apply. But if his character is shit, I'm more like, I'd rather mold you into the role that I need you, knowing you have no experience, just because I know that you'll last based on the culture and the relationship that I can have with a person, just based on character alone. Character is probably it should be the number one hiring measurement, if you ask me, for an employee or
Agreed.
a relationship, a friendship, anything.
Agreed.
Character. Our women listeners out there, or our men listeners, either one, if you could give them any advice on being the woman in a male-dominated role, what would your best piece of advice be for them?
My advice for any woman being in a male-dominated role is not to forget that you are a woman too. So even though you have that character inside of you to make all of those decisions, you want to make sure that even when you have thoughts at the top of your head, you submit some of those things so you can let your man be a man too. I think that's very important so that you can stay in your feminine in your home and try to keep your masculine more in your work.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today.
You.
I had so much fun with you.
This was so fun.
Good. I'm glad
really
you enjoyed it.
And thank you for opening up as well.
Of course.
Yes.
Anytime. I'm happy to do it. Let's get feral. It's always a good time. So you have a book. What is the name of your book and where can they get it?
So the book is on Amazon, The Suppress the Thriving Entrepreneur. I'm actually writing another book right now, so stay tuned. But Danielle Michel Ventures Everything is where YouTube, Instagram, and stuff like that. So
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the things.
Yeah, I think there is a TikTok, but I don't personally.
She doesn't play on TikTok. Yeah. I'll put all this stuff in the show notes
Danielle
for you guys
Michel
below.
Ventures, yeah. That's the best way to contact me. I'm on some of those things, so yeah.
You can catch her there. It'll be linked for you, I promise. I never leave anybody out. Well, thank you for being here. I had so much fun with you. Thank you guys for listening. I hope that you are feeling as inspired and empowered as I am after leaving this episode. Until next time, you guys know where to find me. At Savana_Montana. You can follow the show at Feral with Sav. If you guys have any interesting stories or tea that you would like to spill, email me at feral@savannahmontana.com. And in the meantime, stay feral and we'll see you next Tuesday. Love you guys. Bye. Let me tell you who the fuck I think I am. You got a minute? Wow.